Hey nerds! It's Geeks of Cascadia. Geeks of Cascadia. Geeks of Cascadia. Exclusive tabletop game podcast for the Pacific Northwest. All levels of gamers. Analog gaming. Tabletop news. Dungeons and Dragons and magic. Stupid, mindless banter.
There will definitely be some. That's probably our best. That's our best feature.
You are listening to the Geeks of Cascadia podcast, featuring Steve Hobbs, Paul Anderson, and Joe Costa.
Hey geeks, welcome to Geeks of Cascadia. It is episode 39. I am your host, Blue Samurai, and I am with...
the Costosaurus, and then we are with the amazing...
I am still Paul.
We have a great show for you today. We have... Who do we have, Paul?
We got you, me, and Joe. What more could a person want?
Yeah, well, what else do we have?
Well, we are talking to JonathanTweet.
Yes, JonathanTweet, who developed 3.0, right?
Yes.
Yeah, 3.0. He used to work
Which
for
is a
Wizard
Dungeons and Dragons thing.
Yes, that's true. You should know that.
As in version?
If you're listening to this or watching this, you would already know
Everyone
that.
plays Dungeons and Dragons.
You know, I don't play, but I knew what that was.
I didn't know who he was till I met him.
Well, I didn't know who he was, but I know what 3.0 was.
It's very interesting, him coming in there and, well, first of all, Wizards bought TSR and said, you know what, we're going to revamp the game, so we're going to totally revamp it, so brought a couple of people in. He happens to be one of the people that revamped
Yes,
it.
and if you want to hear about that, you can also listen to our Peter Atkinson interview.
That's right.
Yeah.
That is correct. Do you remember what episode that was?
Earlier.
It was
Yeah.
before episode
20,
39.
Yeah, that's true, it is.
Before 39,
Yeah.
nailed
That's
it.
right. That's right.
Yeah.
So, with that, what do we got going on in the news? Well, let's go to con news.
Con news.
Yeah.
Con news. Well, let's start with the sad news from Anglicon. Anglicon 2018 canceled. It was with great regret we must announce that Anglicon 2018 will not happen. There are many factors that led to this decision, including low ticket sales, insufficient hotel room reservations, and a major guest that had to cancel due to professional obligations.
They got a
So
new
that's super
Doctor
sad.
Who.
Yeah.
That should spur growth and everything.
And it apparently didn't work.
No, that's too bad.
Yeah.
That's too bad.
It's too bad. I hope they can bring it around.
They talk about bringing it back at all, or
Further
no?
updates are forthcoming.
All right.
So look to the future, or maybe they'll just use the TARDIS, go back, sell more tickets.
I blame it on the Daleks. All right.
Yes.
You know
What
what,
else do we
they
got
say?
going
What
on?
doesn't kill you makes you stronger.
Yes.
Does that work with cons?
I hope so.
Maybe. Orcacon's still strong.
Yeah.
We also have coming up Anthro Northwest, which is Seattle Renaissance Hotel, November 8th through 11th. It's a Renaissance fair sort of a thing. They got art, and it's going to scroll. They've got costumes. What else we got here? And a charity thing. There's a little puppy there. I like puppies. Puppies are good.
So if you're interested in charity things, go to Anthro Northwest. You heard it here first.
Oh, there you go. Lots of amazing people.
Okay.
It's not BurleyCon.
Wait.
We also have coming up.
Wait. Is this a furry con?
I don't know.
Because that was a picture of hundreds of people in costume.
Oh yes, you're right. It's at a Renaissance hotel. It's not a Renaissance con.
No.
Okay, well that's a thing you can do.
Yeah.
If you're into that.
Yeah.
I just don't know if it is, like, if you're in convention or
Another-
just
another
an
actually
animal lover convention.
Going through their webpage, I'm pretty sure that's what it is.
Paul will put the pictures right here.
Yes.
Seeing how there were hundreds of people all dressed
Yes.
as their
It's very hot.
animal. Yeah.
I see a weekend of wizardry. What is
Wonderful
this?
weekend of wizardry. I was just watching the Harry Potter marathon on TNT before I came here. It's pretty
Nice.
awesome.
Yep, they start getting really good after the last movie. Just kidding, I like Harry Potter.
And so that is at Hotel Murano in Tacoma, December 6th through 9th. As you might imagine, it's a Harry Potter themed convention. Tickets are on sale
Sounds
now.
pretty cool.
They've got some cool stuff going on. Vendors, guests, who do we have?
An owl! Just kidding.
We have Chris Rankin, the player of Percy Weasley, Stan Yanetvinsky,
Ooh, Victor Krum, yeah. Who else do we got there?
We've got Paul Warren, who played Daniel Radcliffe's body double.
Oh,
He's kind of like the guy who played the body inside Darth Vader.
okay. Oh, great. We were going to have him on the show. Now.
No, no.
Yeah, next week he's going to be here.
Oh,
Right.
and the girl who played Hermione Granger's cosplayer.
Yes. That's pretty awesome. And they've got a wizard rock band, the Blibbering Humdingers, which sounds so much fun.
Ooh, Wizard Rock. That
Wizard Rock is great.
I
love
am
Harry and the
intrigued.
Potters.
I am not, but I am intrigued
And
for
you should
sure.
listen to Harry and the Potters.
There's Harry and the Potters. There
There's
is
Draco and the
Malfoy.
And there's the Blibbering Humdingers.
Harry and the Potters. Remind me after this, and I will
So
write
awesome.
that down.
That's all we really have coming up really soon, other than stuff we talked about last year. If you want to hear about GeekGirlCon, listen to last year's episode, because that's what we're talking about. We also have coming up in January a little thing called OrcaCon.
Yeah.
For the record, OrcaCon is not canceled whatsoever.
Not canceled.
We're actually doing very, very well in our ticket sales, hotel reservations, and everything. And with that being said, you would get tickets. You would want to get tickets soon because at some point we may have to cap it and sell out.
Yeah.
Because we only have so much space and we're already projecting more than we had last
Yeah,
year.
we're growing every year,
Significantly.
and
Yeah.
so if we grow the same amount, we're at the cap.
Yep.
Don't forget, OrcaCon is on January 11th, 12th, and 13th in 2019. That's just a few months away, and you get tickets at orcacon.org.
Sorry I cut you off there, Paul.
No problem. It's the Hilton in Bellevue, and it's free parking. We've got food trucks. We've got games. We got tournaments. We got orcas.
Buy a drink and walk anywhere on site you want.
And you know what we don't have enough of?
Volunteers.
That's right,
Yep.
volunteers. So if you want to come down to OrcaCon and you want to play a game, well, why not volunteer and do that? Because
Yeah.
we'll give you a pass if you do so many hours, right?
Exactly. Go
Yeah.
for free. And, you get one of these fancy T-shirts. This is from last year's OrcaCon, the blue one.
And if we have listeners out there that didn't know that we have video as well, that is why
Oh,
Paul said
by
this
the
one
way,
and held this shirt
yes,
out.
look at this shirt right here.
This shirt, just picture an awesome shirt. That's what I'm wearing.
What food trucks do you think we have?
Good ones.
The link doesn't work.
Nailed it again.
All
I don't
right.
think there was a link.
Okay, so
Are we good on cons?
I think we're good on
All
cons.
right, let's do Kickstarter news. What do we got going on?
All right. Well, so there's not a lot that I think are just really, really amazing, but there are some that are very unique in a good way. Not like unique, like oh his friend's unique. Like in a good way, unique. There's one called Dreams of Tomorrow. And in the title even says, change the future by sending dreams into the past. And it's kind of this unique game. It's $22 plus shipping. Weird Giraffe Games. They've put out some pretty good ones. I've backed a few of their games. And so they put out a sci-fi game not too long ago. I'm totally spacing on the name. Let me pull it out. That was really good. But, so that's a really interesting concept for a game. So it's not just like, hey, standard fantasy game or a standard sci-fi game, you know?
Stuff.
Yeah. And so they did Stellar Leap. That's a really good game. It's a really good game. Not like a total 4X, but it's pretty solid. They also finished one called Fire in the Library recently, so this is the new game. Yeah, it's like I don't want to spend forever on it, but if you get into it and you read about the game, it definitely has unique feel. The art is gorgeous. It's about 45 minutes long. Players are anywhere from 1 to 6 players, so you got a lot of range. That is a lot of range. Because there's a lot of solo gamers out there. Me, I'm not one, but I know there are a lot. And then we have as well, and that ends in 24 days from recording this, which is October 15th, so that would be shooting in towards November, middle of November. And then there is another one that actually has 17 days left, so that ends the 27th? No, the 17 days from the
I
7th.
don't do math.
Yeah, and that's called Town Builder.
Hell, Builder.
Yep, Hooverden. It was funded in the first day. It's about 217% funded. Just a honestly just a cute little tableau building card game for 1 to 4 players, but those are kind of the big ones that were really standing out. They've brought in Campy Creatures. Anybody who played that in the past, they got the 2nd edition of that going on, and an expansion for New Salem. That's also on Kickstarter as well. I'd say one of the biggest ones probably is Belfort, which has been around for 10 years, and they have the 10.
Long Kickstarter.
They have the 10.
We're really going after that.
That's right.
And they're still
9
not
more
funded.
years. Yeah, 9 more years. They're deadline.
It's like a P500 game. So it's a big crowd pleaser, the game. Everyone, I've honestly not gotten to play it yet. I've always wanted to, but I just never got around to it. So TMG is having the 10th anniversary edition of Belfort with all new content, all this stuff, really good price. It's doing really well, and they're pretty much stuck with, for this one, they're just saying, we set what our funding goal was. We set it relatively high, 30,000, and they said because we want everything in the game, so it's not going to be ran by a bunch of stretch goals and stuff like that. It's kind of like you just back it, you get all of that, and not have to, wait. So even if you don't back it, and you can get the stuff on retail, and they're always good. Tasty Mistral Games is always good with their games and what they put out, and so yeah, that's pretty cool.
Cool.
Very cool.
Well, I've got another Kickstarter I'd like to add in there, if you don't mind. By Cherry Pick Games, our good friend Alex Jurabic, who is a local guy here, a game called Far Away, a 2-player cooperative board game about discovery, survival, and crushing loneliness of being the only 2 humans for light years.
That sounds awesome.
It is sound awesome. We've had him here on our show a couple of times, so
He's
check it out.
Hilarious.
Hilarious.
He's one of the funniest people I have met. Like, and then I'm like, gosh, you're so like quick and witty. He's like, oh, I do improv. I'm like, there it is.
Yeah.
And he's had a couple of good games too. He's had Conspire, if you remember that. Drink, the
Drink is
drinking
great.
game. So he has done these in the past. He's got 26 days to go. Of course, when this airs, it'll be a little less than that. His goal is 20,000. He's got 13,000
Awesome.
already. So
Yeah,
he's
it's
doing
like
really
6
well.
times,
Go, Alex.
So checking it out.
You got this.
Far Away by Cherry Pick Games. Alex, we are rooting for you. We're your biggest fans. What else do we got? Well, we got in the game news, tabletop game news, Arkham Horror begins its new cycle. The Circle Undone, its new expansion to Arkham Horror. Legendary, if you play that.
I've pre-ordered it. Sorry,
did?
it's.
Oh, good. Okay.
I like the first one, and looking at how they streamlined this and some stuff with that. This is for. Is this for the card game?
Yes.
Oh yeah, the card game's really exciting, but for some reason got stuck on the new edition of just Arkham Horror. That's going to be coming out this month,
Cool.
I think.
Well, maybe you should do a review. Maybe.
Yeah, I'll have to put it.
Okay.
3 or 4 hours to play it.
Well, with that, there's also another expansion coming out with the legendary, the Marvel game, and that is the Ant-Man expansion, which is coming in November. And then
Pretty much, they always put out an expansion when a new movie comes out.
yeah, that was a couple months.
Civil War.
Yeah, that's true.
They had Ant-Man. They had the Fantastic Four.
And finally, with the Star Wars Legion, is it a card game? I have not played this.
Legion is more or less as X-Wing, but
Okay.
with on the ground.
Oh, got it. Okay. Well, you got expansions with personnel. That is coming out, so check that out. And with that, do we have anything else, guys?
I'm just trying to back Far Away, and I don't know my password for Kickstarter. So that's all I.
Alex, we're trying to do it
Is
right
it-
now.
Is it
We're
1,
trying to
2,
do it
3,
right now.
4?
We're trying to
Might
back
be.
you
Maybe
right
my phone
now.
remembers.
Well, with
Joe's
that,
got that
well, while
booty.
you're trying to back that game, why don't we check out JonathanTweet?
JonathanTweet, let's do that.
All right, let's do that right now. Hey geeks, sometimes we get gems on this program, and we have a gem right here. JonathanTweet is with us, and of course, my 2 co-hosts are with us. Okay. Doug.
It's Doug.
I'm Doug.
I'm the one that's not Doug.
That's right. Still Paul. Just
Still
still
Paul.
Paul. So, Jonathan, as most people in the nerd tabletop gaming world knows, he is the developer of 3rd edition D&D, the complete and utter revamp of D&D as Wizards of the Coast bought TSR.
That's right.
And brought it over. And so, if you could, now, was that kind of the first start into your world of tabletop game design?
No. So by
No,
that time,
okay.
I had already been doing professional game design for 10 years.
Okay.
So I started in '87. My business partner, Mark Reinhagen, and I formed a company, Lion Rampant. We created a game, Ars Magica, about wizards in the Middle Ages, and that sort of put us both on the map. And I did some freelance work. I created the Over the Edge role-playing game that released in '92.
Right, okay.
And then in '93, I hired on at Wizards. I did a role-playing game there, Everway, and we picked up Ars Magica and published a version of that. And then finally Wizards acquired TSR and Dungeons and Dragons.
And you were thinking,
so,
am I going to have a job?
Well, at that time I was in the card side, like working on like Netrunner and beginner sets of Magic and what have you. And I sort of inched my way in. Like I started out, I was going to do like a Magic the Gathering setting for Dungeons and Dragons.
Which, by the way, is just coming out.
I mean, right? Like it's what, 20 years we've been waiting for that.
Yeah,
Oh
right.
man, maybe I should dust off my work from 20 years ago. So I started working with the D&D system, and then I was going to work on the D&D beginner game because beginner games is one of my specialties.
Right.
And then I sort of got onto the team itself. Peter Adkison was the president. He's a really big D&D fan, and he knew the kind of work that I did and what have you. And I've done a lot of system design. And in fact, I did the 3rd edition of Talos Atlanta for Wizards of the Coast before that, where they had a version of the game that was kind of good, but really needed somebody to go over and put it all together again. And so they had already seen what I can do when I take a game and rework it and rationalize it and what have you. So then I ended up actually leading the design team.
Oh, wow.
So that was
okay.
great. And then, but I got to work with Monty Cook and Skip Williams. They both have great expertise. Monty's great at what's cool.
Yeah.
He's the guy who said there should be swords with a sword on each side, right?
Right,
It's like, okay, yeah, that actually is pretty cool.
Yeah.
And then you got the double sword.
Yeah,
right?
sure.
And Skip Williams had
So
been working
basically,
on D&D.
the new
Yeah.
Star Wars took that out.
Well, I think it might have gotten from the other Star Wars, but and Skip Williams, he knew all sorts of stuff because he'd been working at Dungeons and Dragons stuff since I was a kid. Like the first thing I ever got had something that he had worked on in it, like in '77.
Wow.
Right? So it was great to work with those guys.
Very cool.
And then Ryan Dancy was the head of the brand, and he just had this genius idea about the open game license and the D20, what have you, and he was really good at telling the fans exactly what's going to happen. Because back then, if you asked any D&D player, do you want there to be a new edition? They were like, no, we don't want to do a new edition.
Right,
And then you would
right.
say, well, if we were to do a new edition, what would you want? Oh, we got to fix this, you got to fix that, you got to fix this other thing, and this is broken, and this doesn't work. It's like, okay, right?
Yeah.
And so people didn't like the idea of a new edition, but the game needed it, and so
Well, essentially it was kind of dying off at that time, right?
yeah, and it just hadn't kept up with.
Right.
I mean, if you look at second edition was better in a lot of ways than first and mechanically, but even still, it just was old-fashioned in a lot of ways and just hadn't kept up.
Right. And I came in, I mean, late 70s, I remember.
Yeah.
Paul came in late, and Doug, when did you come in?
Early 2010.
So you did, was that?
I did fourth edition mostly, yeah.
Okay.
To start with.
And so, what was was there like an overall guidance that Peter gave you? He's like, hey, these are the parameters,
Yeah.
meet the parameters? Or was it, he was
Actually-
in there the whole time and micromanaging well, not micromanaging, leading the effort?
Right. So a little both. He gave
Okay.
us directives. The team didn't have a leader at first, and so it was 4 people who all had different ideas, and no one had the authority to decide what things were. And that didn't work out, and sort of the manuscript that we came up with showed that we weren't working efficiently. So he sort of stepped in, took over, gave us a better direction, and then when he left me in charge. But by that time, we had a pretty clear idea of what we wanted. And we all sort of synced up pretty well in terms of the people in the design team and Peter and the brand people for what we wanted. And we wanted to make the game better, and we were willing to lose players in order to do it. Like we had conversations where it's like how many players are we willing to lose in order to make the game so good that it'll be good for years and years and years.
No matter what you do, if you change something, you're going to lose somebody.
That's
So
what we
you have
thought.
to make that choice.
But luckily, we had Ryan Dancy on the job,
Yeah.
who a year before the release started releasing photos, images, and rules, and they had this gigantic play test, which was sort of get everybody sucked into playing the game early, like in all your early adopters. And so he just totally managed that so well that from the year ahead of the release, when he started to really promote that stuff, to the release, we realized we're not going to lose anybody.
Oh, awesome.
We're going to gain people,
Yeah.
and that's exactly what I mean. Yes, we did lose some people, but we netted.
Yeah.
We netted so many more people. And Ryan Dancy was big on let's focus on what D&D does best. And because in second edition, D&D was supposed to do everything. So you had the sort of the weird modern horror version of D&D, and you had the weird post-apocalyptic version and whatever. And it was just, well, let's get everyone playing the same D&D again for once, and really focused everybody.
So what I've seen is this kind of light years change in terms of certain aspects of D&D. I would say the diversity, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you go back to the original D&D, and it's like, I'm half Japanese and I want to play an Asian character. You really couldn't do it. It was all European fighters, right? And you look at today in 5th edition, even the pictures. So in 3rd edition, did that subject come up? It's like, you know what, we need to make this, we need to be inclusive.
I mean, I think everyone was sort of on board with it. So, like, I'm the one that created the idea of the iconic characters, right? And so you've got Lita is the iconic rogue, and Miley is the iconic wizard, and what have you, right? That's and that turned out really, really good. They wound up getting their own books, right, where they're the heroes of fantasy novels or whatever. But then I was the one who picked which ones are white and which ones are black and which ones are male and which ones are female, and really sort of tried to provide a range.
Okay.
Right? Awesome. Right? And we didn't get any pushback. Wizards of the Coast was always super liberal right from the beginning. Right? TSR maybe came across as a little more old-fashioned, but they were nobody complained. Right? So that third edition was a great opportunity for us to sort of push things forward. In second edition, they had officially declared they were no longer going to use the pronoun she. They were just going to use he for everything. That was grammatically correct. It was like, wow, that is tone deaf. Right?
So, and I know we talked about this earlier, about a month or 2 months ago over beers. But I thought the nuances of some of the rule changes and some of the arguments you had, I thought were kind of interesting. So, if you could talk about a little bit the 2 tracks on how you do initiative.
Yeah, right. So, this is one of the things that was an indication that the team that didn't have a leader yet wasn't really functioning very well because we couldn't agree on an initiative system. So the initiative system I had always used was you just go into fixed order based on your dexterity and you go in a circle, and apparently that was not the way people did it. And so I introduced that idea to D&D, and it actually makes the game go fast.
Right.
The other alternative was everybody goes around and says what they're going to do, and then everyone goes around again and executes it, and then those are in order from very fast things go first, and then fast things, and then middle things, and then slow things, then very slow things. So you would actually have 6 stages in the round where everyone declares what they're doing, all the very fast things go, all the fast things go, and it's just like, well, it just takes you longer to go through the round.
Right. So, for example, I'm a fighter. I'm going to do a melee attack, so I get to go first when this wizard is preparing a spell that's going to take X amount of time. So that system required no rolling at first, right? But a lot of sounds like a lot of charts, right?
That's what you had to like charging was a fast thing, and so charges went off first before other attacks did or whatever, and it was just there's something really appealing when you think about that system where it's like you have to decide what you're going to do before you see how anybody's round turns out. So the cleric has to decide whether they're going to heal somebody or not before they see what happens.
Okay.
It makes some sense.
Yeah.
It just makes everything go slow, right? And so on paper, it's like, this is cool, and then you play it at the table, it's like, this is slow.
Yeah.
But I think this was one of the things that you said that kind of deadlocked the group, right? There was
Yeah, so we had to release 2 different playtest versions, one with one version of the initiative and one with the other.
Was this the one where Peter had to get involved and
And
go, we're going with this one?
And
or-
then it was more like, we can't have this anymore. You can't go to the playtesters and say, we can't decide which one we like, right? Like, you have to at least decide.
Yeah.
How heated was it in that room? I mean, I'm sure it was, you
Wow.
were very collegial, but I'm sure there were a couple of things. You just went out at each other, right?
I mean,
and is there anything you could share maybe on?
we'll turn the camera off and recording off, and I'll tell you a couple things. It was not all smooth.
Okay.
That is for sure.
But
Right?
a process like that, when you're making a wholesale change,
Yeah, that's right.
obviously that's going to happen.
That's right.
I don't want to monopolize all the questions. I'm just so into
That's
this.
fine.
But Doug,
Yeah.
or, you've been playing D&D for a long time, a DM.
Mostly a DM, sometimes a player.
Right. And you haven't done the third edition. Just
I was going to start a 3rd edition, 3.5, actually, at college, but never got around to it. But then kind of picked it back up with 4th edition.
Well, you should do 13th Age anyway. So,
Yeah, I've
Well,
heard
that
good
is a
things.
nice segue, actually. So let's talk about that. No, sorry.
Yep.
We're going to have to go more into this a little
Sure.
later on. But I know you're doing some new things. You moved on. So talk about 13th Age.
Right, so I was the lead designer on 3rd edition, and my best friend Rob Hinkso was the lead designer on 4th edition. And several years ago, neither of us were working for Wizards anymore, and we thought, hey, we're both free. We get to design whatever we want to do.
Was this a choice decision, or was it downsizing or anything like that? Or
So I got sort of squeezed out with all the people who really understood D&D and didn't like 4th edition.
Okay.
right? Okay, got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
But hey, good things happen out
hey,
of it, right?
right?
So,
I mean, yeah.
so you do it. So you got out and you went, man, I gotta do something, right? I gotta put food on the table.
I mean, so I wound
right?
up working at, I did some Facebook games and stuff
Okay.
for a while. For a couple, I worked at Real Networks, and I worked at Amazon Game Studios.
Okay.
But with Rob, once he had been lead designer on 4th, and then he wasn't with the company anymore, we got together and it's like, well, we're best friends. We worked on games together for years and years. He was in my playtest campaign for 3rd. I was in his playtest campaign for 4th, right? Like we really understand each other, and we can really talk stuff through together. So we're like, what should we do? And we realized that the thing that we really ought to, the thing that we owed to the game world, or the thing that we could best provide to our community, would be the two of us getting together and coming up with the best D20 rolling game we could possibly do. And that's 13th Age.
Okay, and what's going on with that? I mean, it
Right.
seems to be. I've heard
Right.
people talk about it. and
So
everything,
Pellegrini released that in 2013,
Okay.
and there's a huge line of products for it now, and people hear good things about it. Like it's not only does it stand alone as its own system, but you can port all sorts of things from it into your D&D campaign. There are all sorts of subsystems, like the background system for skills, or the icon system for connecting yourself to the big NPCs in the campaign. Those things you can all sort of pull straight into a regular D&D game. And so that's been out for a long time. Pellegrini's been supporting it. They're in the UK. And the biggest news now is Chaosium has released 13th Age Glorantha.
Okay.
So Glorantha is this really classic, richly detailed, mythically oriented fantasy world that both Rob Hinkso and I really have loved since we were young.
Right.
And now we got to take 13th Age, our way of doing fantasy dice rolling and character creation, and put it into the Glorantha setting with all their deities and their myths and their weird fantasy races and what have you. And so that is going out to Kickstarter backers right now, and I think releases to the public in October.
Sounds like you, and I think you had a pretty
Super
good,
cool.
successful Kickstarter. with
Had a
that,
pretty
right?
good successful Kickstarter with that.
Right,
Yeah.
now, but, as a game designer, we've talked to some others, like you have to, in order to pay the bills, get that mortgage payment, you gotta constantly think of new ideas. So you had something brewing in there that you can maybe tell us a little bit?
I've got the next project that I work on. Well, hold on. I'm not even done with Over the Edge yet. So
Okay.
let's
All
talk
right.
about that.
Yeah, sure. Yeah,
Right?
yeah.
That's so. Over the Edge is my role-playing game of weird urban danger.
Okay.
It came out in 1992.
Okay.
And there's a card
That's the
game,
original.
too,
There's
right?
also a card game on the edge. It's
yeah.
the same setting. So in 1990, I had left Lion Rampant. When we turned every recordings off, I can tell you a little bit more about that.
Okay.
But I didn't think I was ever going to do professional game design again. I was selling insurance and mutual funds.
Oh, wow.
All right.
Right?
Maybe he can give you some
Sorry.
financial advice. after
Yeah,
this.
well, in fact, actually, that job taught me so much about finances that I'm glad that I'm sure I made so much more money with my investments
Right.
because I learned that thing of it, right? Yeah. Well, anyway, I wanted a role-playing game that I could play just with my friends where it could be as weird as I wanted it could be as dark as I wanted it could be as free-form as I wanted it. Nobody had to, read a rule book in order to play. And so I created a game that's based in the modern day, so you can create whatever character you want.
Okay.
You don't have to look at the rule book sort of to pick, you just sort of invent your character. And then you go to this weird island where it's sort of a pariah state. It's half totalitarian, half libertarian, and then it's sort of this weird big city that's sort of like a Twilight Zone version of any giant cosmopolitan city. So, and then that game, which I started just for my friends, John Nephew at Atlas Games heard about it, and he said, "That's the one I want to publish. Is the stuff that no one else will publish." And I could not talk him out of it. So he published it in '92, and that was Robin Laws he's a famous game designer. Does all sorts of great story-oriented work, and he was the one that sort of inspired me to look into William S. Burroughs for inspiration for role-playing games, and then he provided a lot of material for the original Over the Edge. I was actually the first person to pay him for role-playing design work back in '92. So I said I'd give him $50 for all the stuff he sent me, and it was so good I gave him $100. I know, right? And so that game influenced a lot of indie role-playing game designers like Ron Edwards, and so now I have come back to the game and rewritten it for the modern day, right? And we raised money for it on Kickstarter, so it'll be out next year, less than a year, right?
Cool.
And I totally rewrote the settings so that even people who have read it before it'll all be new and fresh and something special. And the game system is totally redone because in '92 I did not know how to tell people how to make a real freeform whatever. I was making it up as I went, right? I'm just the GM. Everyone looks at me to interpret the dice, and there's no rule book, so I can tell them whatever I want, right? But if I write that into a rule book and hand it to someone else to run, you need to, you need rules, right? And so you can look at my 1992 version of Over the Edge as this weird amphibian product, where it's got these really amazing freeform elements that sort of bust loose your creativity, let you do what you want, and then it has these really mechanical combat things where you're rolling dice and you're subtracting numbers and you're multiplying by a factor, and you're right, and well, that doesn't belong in the game. But I didn't know how to
Sounds
do
like an
it.
initiative system that we were talking
Well,
about.
that's the whole thing. It's like that's the part that sort of shows its age. And so I revamped the mechanic system, and I've got a blindingly fast, free-form dice rolling system that just it does what I want it to do, and it doesn't. It used to be that if you want to do combat, everyone has to slow down, and everything becomes this very slow, tactical, back and forth. And now you know, you can, if you want, resolve a fight between two people with a single dice roll. You can just move things through so fast, and there are sort of surprise elements built into the dice rolls that may give you not only a success or fail factor, but a good or bad surprise as well. So really happy about that. We raised over $130,000 on Kickstarter, and now we're going to come out with a game early next year. And
cool. All right.
Maybe mid next year. And so I'm doing like the final touches on that, things like map order and final through.
So when can we get you again? I can talk about that later.
So, I mean, a great time would be when it releases next year in June.
Sounds good.
Yeah, but the pre-orders are going to come online within I don't know when this will drop, but early in September there'll be pre-orders on Backer Kit that people can get in on.
Card version on the edge again?
Everybody asks for that, and the more people that ask for it, the more likely it's going to happen, so we'll see.
Well, Jonathan, how do we get a hold of you? How do we buy your stuff?
So, I'm JonathanTweet, and you can find me on Twitter, Jonathan Amazon Michael Tweet. I'm on Google Plus because I really am a geek. I'm on Facebook. So I'm there with all those things, and you can find 13th Age on Twitter. I've got an Over the Edge collection on Google Plus. In fact, I have an Over the Edge sort of theme board on Pinterest.
Okay.
Right? Yeah, and an Over the Edge.
Everywhere.
Exactly, right? Well, when I was doing this back in the 90s, I literally had like a drawer with clip outs of pictures from newspapers, right? Because it's hard to find images. And then I would say, oh, okay, you see these people, these dancers or whatever, and now everything's online, right? You just pull everything out of the ether. It's great, it's amazing. So I'm easy to find on the internet, and then you can also look for me as Grandmother Fish.
Okay.
That's my evolution angle, where I'm now a science communicator teaching evolution to children.
Okay.
I've got a book, Grandmother Fish. It's the first book to teach evolution to preschoolers, and then I've got a card game, Clades.
Okay.
And Clades Prehistoric, 2 animal matching games that teach evolutionary relationships.
That is cool.
So that evolution has always been one of my side interests, and I worked on that Grandmother Fish project for years and years while I was doing game design. I finally figured out how to do it.
Thank you, Jonathan.
Yeah,
the
you
beer's
bet.
done. You're
Beer's
a Renaissance
done.
man.
Yeah.
You're having you again. So with that,
Yeah.
thanks a lot, man.
You bet.
All
This
right.
is cool.
Yeah. Take care.
You, Paul.
Doug?
All right.
Awesome.
Yes,
Yeah,
that is
pretty
awesome.
cool.
All right. Okay, Alex, if you're watching, I backed your game.
He did.
So
I
I-
saw him do
Got
it.
it on my phone. My phone remembers my password.
And this
Yeah.
is great. And what a great interview by Jonathan Tweet.
Oh yeah.
Oh, man.
That was really cool. We were Dragonflight. So there weren't too many elevator dings in there. So we had to find
There
the
was
quietest
a
place
lot
we
of
could.
elevator
Yeah.
Yeah. But hey, we got an exciting night tonight. We got a little bit of D&D,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
Doing Waterdeep Dragon Heist, which is available in your game stores right now. Speaking of game stores, we are recording right now live
Yes,
right
we're
here
alive and we're here.
at Around the Table in Linwood. So check him out. And by the way, if you want to communicate with us and talk to us, because we like to talk to people,
Yes.
right? You can reach us at geeksofcascadia@gmail.com or
Geeks of Cascadia at Geeks of Cascadia on Twitter.
okay.
Geeks of Cascadia on Facebook. At Geeks of Cascadia on Instagram if you want to send us a photo of yourself.
And
Yes.
Geeks of Cascadia on Tinder.
Yes.
That's right. Swipe left.
Yep.
Right?
And then-
That's right.
Which
I
one
don't
Yep.
is
know.
it?
And you can also find us on Geeks of Cascadia on Grindr.
Yes.
So be
Absolutely.
sure to go on there and just really start up conversations.
I don't know what any of those mean.
Joe controls those last two.
He does. He does.
He just shows up.
Right.
You swipe
Yeah.
him, he shows up.
The first one you find, that's it. And just start talking to them.
Yes.
I mean, us.
So, do we have anything else, guys, or should we
I don't
just sign
think
up?
so.
All right. So with that, embrace the nerd, and I hope you make that saving throw.